Have you ever accidentally bought the wrong Bitcoin or the wrong Ethereum? To the untrained eye, it's an easy mistake to make, and some believe this is why cryptos like Ethereum Classic have been rallying so much over the last few weeks. Surely it must be a mistake. Why would anyone invest in Ethereum Classic when they can buy the real thing? This was the first question that crossed my mind, and when I went looking for the answer, I found that there is much more to Ethereum Classic than meets the eye. Today, I'm going to tell you about one of the most interesting cryptocurrencies on the market and why I think Ethereum Classic is more than it appears. I hate to pause, but by watching this video, you agree to a clause. What you do with your cash is your choice, because there's nothing but educational content in my voice. If you need help with your portfolio, consulting with your financial advisor is the best way to go. If this is your first time stopping by, welcome to the Coin Bureau. My name is Guy, and my goal is to make crypto content that's better than getting high. Coins, tokens, DeFi, NFTs, and more. There's no crypto rabbit hole that I won't explore. If you want to join me in my quest, subscribing to the channel and pinging that notification bell is the way to do it best. Below, you'll find timestamps tucked in the video timeline. You can use these to your advantage if you've got things to do, but if you watch the whole way through, it will help this video get more exposure on YouTube. Now, I know these rhymes can be quite fantastic, but it's about time we got started with Ethereum Classic. The history of Ethereum Classic begins with Ethereum. Although Vitalik Buterin is commonly credited as being the founder of Ethereum, Ethereum was technically founded by 8 people in December 2013. This group of 8 included Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson and Polkadot founder Gavin Wood. Vitalik was the chief architect behind Ethereum, Gavin was the one who coded the first functional version of Ethereum, and Charles was involved in developing Ethereum's roadmap and governance. According to Charles, Ethereum's initial founders had 2 different philosophies about the best way to develop cryptocurrencies. Some of them believed in the idea that code is law. What happens on the blockchain stays on the blockchain for better or for worse. Everything on Ethereum is immutable, meaning it can't be changed. Others, however, believed in mutability in the name of innovation. In other words, if something bad happens on Ethereum, steps should be taken to fix the problem and help anyone affected. Those who believe in code is law argue that if you make it possible to change things on a cryptocurrency blockchain, then it's no different to having a legal system that changes laws depending on the case. By contrast, those who put innovation above immutability argue that there are some circumstances where it's necessary to change a cryptocurrency for it to survive and thrive. Now, as you might have guessed, Ethereum Classic was created because of an event that put both of these crypto philosophies into question. Less than a year after Ethereum launched, its developer community started discussing the possibility of creating the first ever decentralized autonomous organization, or DAO for short. The idea was simple but powerful. People would pool their ETH into a smart contract, and in exchange, they would get a token that gave them voting rights for how that pooled money should be spent. This would make it possible to fund things like decentralized applications, new cryptocurrencies being built on Ethereum, and marketing campaigns. The DAO was created by a German startup called Slock in June 2016, and within a month of launching, over $150 million worth of ETH had been deposited into the DAO smart contract. This is where things get a bit technical, so pay close attention. Since it was likely that not everyone would be on board with how the ETH in the DAO should be spent, the DAO devs added something called a split function to the DAO smart contract. The split function made it possible for anyone to deposit their voting tokens in exchange for the ETH they had initially deposited into the DAO smart contract. This reclaimed ETH could be transferred to a personal wallet or used to create another DAO called a child DAO to crowdfund a different Ethereum project with like-minded individuals. In both cases, the reclaimed ETH would be locked up for 28 days and would not be spendable during that period. Shortly before the launch of the DAO, many developers had pointed out that this split function had a bug that could be exploited to steal the ETH locked in the DAO smart contract. Interestingly, the developers behind the DAO insisted that no such risk was present. On June 17, 2016, an anonymous hacker drained $50 million worth of ETH from the DAO smart contract, equal to about 5% of all the ETH in circulation at that time. Ouch. The way he or she was able to do this was by repeatedly using the split function to claim more ETH with the same voting tokens. Now, interestingly, the hacker could have drained all the funds, but didn't. With 28 days before that stolen ETH became spendable, Ethereum's developers were left with a dilemma. Do we modify the Ethereum blockchain or not? Now, the majority, including Vitalik Buterin and Gavin Wood, voted to fork the Ethereum blockchain to reverse the hack, arguing that the damage of not doing so would be too great. A small minority of people argued that Ethereum should not be forked because code is law. Rolling back the blockchain would be analogous to the government bailing out the banks during the 2008 financial crisis, which is the exact thing that inspired Satoshi Nakamoto to create Bitcoin. Now, the anonymous hacker even wrote an open letter arguing that the ETH was rightfully theirs because all they did was use the split function's faulty code to their benefit. It was fair game. Now, after a whole bunch of other craziness that I don't have the time to cover in this video, Ethereum forked on the 20th of July 2016, creating two separate blockchains. The Ethereum chain, where the DAO hack never happened, and the Ethereum Classic chain, where the ETH remains stolen for better or for worse. Besides the DAO hack transaction history, Ethereum Classic is almost identical to Ethereum, save for a few minor differences. For starters, Ethereum Classic is committed to immutability. What happens on the blockchain stays on the blockchain. ETC also has completely different tokenomics than ETH. This is because of a change made to Ethereum Classic in December 2017, which reduces ETC block rewards by 20% every 5 million blocks. This will continue until ETC hits its maximum supply of 210,700,000, which is expected to occur sometime in 2042. This is in contrast to ETH, which has a steady inflation rate with no maximum supply, but could become deflationary once EIP 1559 is passed. Ethereum Classic has not undergone all the same upgrades Ethereum has, and will not be transitioning to a proof-of-stake consensus mechanism. This means that Ethereum Classic will continue to be a proof-of-work for the foreseeable future, which will make it the only smart contract-compatible proof-of-work blockchain after Ethereum 2.0 launches. Compared to Ethereum, Ethereum Classic is extremely centralized, with nearly 70% of all ETC mining being done by just 2 mining pools. This has made Ethereum Classic susceptible to 51% attacks, which is where a miner manipulates the blockchain into processing faulty transactions. There have been at least 4 51% attacks on Ethereum Classic, which have collectively resulted in almost $10 million of fake ETC being minted and sold. 3 of these took place in August last year, and this led Ethereum Classic developers to modify the ETC mining algorithm in October to prevent additional 51% attacks. This modification is called Messy and was actually proposed by Vitalik Buterin in 2014. The technical explanation is, well, messy, but the simple explanation is that it means a malicious miner has to use more computing power to manipulate the blockchain and produce faulty transactions. Now, speaking of development, Ethereum Classic is developed and maintained by about 10 software companies, mainly Ethereum Classic Labs, which is based in San Francisco. Ethereum Classic Labs also provides funding for projects building on Ethereum Classic and aims to fund 20 to 25 projects per year. Interestingly, another company that actively works on Ethereum Classic is none other than IOHK, the same software company that develops Cardano. Charles Hoskinson is the CEO of IOHK, and he maintains that IOHK supports Ethereum Classic for purely philosophical reasons. In other words, Charles agrees with the idea that code is law. What's even more interesting is that Charles has apparently spent over $1.5 million of his own money to fund development on Ethereum Classic ever since it launched. The Ethereum Classic community was initially not all that receptive to this charity, primarily because they felt that Charles was single-handedly trying to direct the development of the project. Over the last year, however, the Ethereum Classic clan seems to have embraced the presence of IOHK and is currently in the process of hammering out a roadmap with their help. This might be a part of why ETC has performed so well in recent weeks. ETC's price action is as parabolic as it gets. ETC has gone up by more than 20x since the start of the year. And this rally began back in April, and there are three things that could have caused it. The first is Grayscale. Grayscale's Ethereum Classic Trust has been around since 2018, and the trust seems to be holding more than 13% of all the ETC in circulation. While I wasn't able to pull up an archived page for the Ethereum Classic Trust, a Cointelegraph article from April this year suggests Grayscale's ETC holdings have grown by nearly 5x since then. I think the reason why institutions are buying so much ETC is because of Ethereum's transition to Ethereum 2.0, which is likely another cause behind ETC's recent price action. For those who don't know, early April is when Ethereum developers announced they would be fast-tracking Ethereum's transition to a proof-of-stake consensus to as early as October this year. This was initially scheduled to occur after the addition of shard chains to the beacon chain, which was originally the second step of the Ethereum 2.0 rollout. Given this accelerated transition to proof-of-stake, the days are numbered for the millions of ETH miners on Ethereum's current proof-of-work blockchain. As far as I can tell, Ethereum and Ethereum Classic still use the same ETH hash proof-of-work mining algorithm. What this means is that Ethereum miners can mine Ethereum Classic if they want. While it has historically been much more profitable to mine ETH, I reckon this is what Ethereum miners must have been thinking since April. Instead of throwing out or selling all my Ethereum mining equipment, why don't I stake on Ethereum 2.0 with the ETH I've mined and start mining ETC for the additional profit now that the price has gone up? This theory is supported by Ethereum Classic's recent uptick in hash power, which suggests that more proof-of-work miners are participating on its blockchain. The third possible cause behind ETC's recent run-up is IOHK, specifically the approval of their proposal to create an on-chain treasury for Ethereum Classic, which was tabled in August last year. Interesting. Charles has been pushing for Ethereum Classic to create an on-chain treasury for quite some time, and now that one is around the corner, Ethereum Classic may become more sustainable and organized. In terms of technicals, ETC recently entered a phase of price consolidation that could break out at any moment. This is because ETC's daily chart is painting a bull flag that could take it up to $200 in the near future, and it's possible that ETC could reach a price tag of $400 before this bull market is over. This is assuming Grayscale's Ethereum Classic Trust investors don't start selling all the ETC they've been indirectly accumulating, because Grayscale is in fact the largest ETC whale. If you're wondering what happened to the stolen ETH on Ethereum Classic, the short answer is that it was drained from the child DAO created by the hacker using the same split function exploit. This was done shortly after the initial DAO hack by an anonymous group of Ethereum developers called the Robin Hood Group. This newly drained ETH was turned into ETC after the Ethereum Classic fork. Interestingly, the Robin Hood Group actually tried selling the stolen ETC on the Poloniex cryptocurrency exchange for the new ETH, i.e. Ethereum's current ETH. Poloniex froze these funds before the Robin Hood Group could finish selling this ETC for ETH, and the ETC they didn't manage to sell was subsequently returned to its rightful owners on the Ethereum Classic chain. This begs the question, who the hell was behind the infamous DAO exploit? Well, there are a few possible candidates. The first is the company behind the DAO itself, Slock.it, now rebranded to Blockchains. Its developers were warned on multiple occasions that the split function code was vulnerable to exploitation, yet it seems not much was done to fix this issue. The follow-up response to the attack by one of the lead DAO developers also didn't sound very apologetic. Now, to be fair though, the exploit in question was not one they had been notified about. While not much is known about Slock/Blockchains, its first Medium post notes that it, quote, bridges the digital and physical world by making smart contracts physically enforceable and free of impractical collaterals. You could argue that Slock/blockchains wanted to test the physical enforceability of smart contracts by hacking their own DAO and seeing what implications it would have in the real world. After all, the exploit was in line with the terms and conditions they themselves had written for the DAO smart contract that the hacker appealed to in his or her public letter. However, it's clear that this is a bit of a stretch. A more likely candidate is someone who would stand to gain from Ethereum's downfall, which seems to have been the actual goal of the DAO hack. Considering that not all the ETH was stolen from the DAO when it could have been, this looks more like a show of force than a greedy hacker who's just doing it for the money. Whoever was behind the hack probably knew that it would result in a fork. It seems apparent that the DAO hack was not driven primarily by profit, but by ideology. Now, if it were for profit, the hacker would have drained all the ETH from the DAO smart contract. The public letter to the Ethereum community shows that this individual is committed to the idea that code is law. What's more is that this hacker apparently threatened to bribe Ethereum miners with ETH and BTC if Ethereum developers attempted to do a soft fork that would freeze the stolen ETH in their child DAO. This soft fork of the Ethereum blockchain was apparently the preferred middle ground by the Ethereum community. Unfortunately, the devs quickly realized that the hacker could potentially exploit the soft fork to their benefit. This forced a hard fork of the Ethereum blockchain, creating Ethereum Classic. Taken together, these facts lead me to believe that the person who hacked the DAO is likely one of the pseudonymous founders of Ethereum Classic. But who knows really? Maybe it was Satoshi Nakamoto himself. As US Congressman Trey Gowdy famously said, if you weaken the law today, you weaken it forever. But is code really law in cryptocurrency? That's what the Ethereum Classic community believes, and there are certainly many merits to this argument. However, it seems logical that there could be a circumstance where it's necessary to change a cryptocurrency's code. This dilemma is no different than the trolley problem. Do you kill one person to save 5? What if it saves 10? What if it saves 10 million? At some point, the consequences make it difficult to justify sticking to a principle, in this case, the immutability of code. That said, I don't think the DAO hack was a case where the consequences should have overruled the law of code. Especially after those mysterious Robin Hood hackers drained the ETH from the original hacker's child DAO, the damage to Ethereum would have been minimal in the grand scheme of things. The fact that Ethereum's core developers occasionally help out with Ethereum Classic leads me to believe that they may see the same thing in retrospect. The unfortunate thing about Ethereum Classic is that its commitment to code has made it hard for the project to improve and adapt. Ethereum Classic's documentation and development has also been disorganized, but this does seem to be improving. Cardano's Charles Hoskinson has admittedly done an amazing job of guiding the Ethereum Classic community. ETC has performed very well this year, and it seems like its best days are still ahead of it. The only thing that seems to be standing in its way are the real code is law zealots among Ethereum Classic's developer team, possibly the same ones that caused the Ethereum fork in the first place. As with all things in life, that answer to whether code is law lies somewhere in the middle. No crypto code is perfect because humans aren't perfect. Many mistakes have been made in crypto that have cost millions, if not billions of dollars, and I'm certain that even more costly mistakes will be made in the future. Where code stops being law is something that will likely be determined over time as the cryptocurrency industry learns from these mistakes. The projects that find the best balance between code and law will eventually dominate the crypto market, and maybe Ethereum Classic will be one of them. If you enjoyed today's video, then let me know by giving that like button a click. If you plan on coming back, subscribe to the channel and give that notification bell a flick. While you wait for the next one to hit the tube, you can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram too. The crypto market moves fast, which is why I give daily crypto market updates on my Telegram channel. It's completely free, just like my newsletter, which gives you all the crypto tips, tricks, and tools you need. Now, no video is complete without a merch shill, so head on over to the Coin Bureau merch store and get your fill. Links to all these goodies are at the top of the video description. That's all for now, ladies and gents. Thanks for listening to my 2 cents. I've got to go, but I'll be back soon to keep you in the know.